One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you. Tonight, sir.
Hey, good evening. Well, we're looking at this test vote sometime after 8 o'clock Eastern time here in the Senate. The Senate is out on a recess right now, but they will come back after 8. And we were kind of thinking that this test vote would come between 8 and 10 o'clock Eastern time. Now, it is a test vote, as we say, but it's more than just that. That will tell us, if they are successful, if the government shutdown is going to end and the government is going to reopen. This is going to be about the math. It's whether or not all Republicans, and let's see if they can get all Republicans here, combined with a group of Democrats, can get to 60 votes and break a filibuster. If they get to that 60-vote threshold, that vote, that test vote, is almost more important than final passage, which could come later in the evening tonight, maybe in the overnight, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Let me break down the math here right now. So there are 53 Republicans in the Senate. It's unclear if Rand Paul, the Republican from Kentucky, would vote with his party. He has opposed his party on this issue really since the end of September. But you've had a coalition of 3 other senators who caucus with the Democrats who voted with the Republicans throughout the way here. And we've just gotten this bit of information in the past few minutes that, part and parcel that was central to getting this deal were 3 former New England governors. They are all senators now. You have Jeanne Shaheen, the Democratic senator from New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan, the Democratic senator from New Hampshire as well, and Angus King, the independent from Maine, who caucuses with the Democrats. They say that they have gotten some major concessions in this deal. This would reverse the federal RIFs. Also, SNAP money would be back in, and so they're willing to support that deal. So you see how that coalition of Democrats is growing. And here's the other issue. You have a split in the Democratic caucus. The Senate Democrats have been meeting behind closed doors for about an hour and a half, 2 hours now, and there's a lot of division there. There are some Democrats who are going to come out and support this test vote, and the others are going to rage at them. Hakeem Jeffries, who is the Democratic leader, just put out a statement a few minutes ago. He said that this fight is not over in the House of Representatives for the Democrats. You had critical words from Bernie Sanders, the independent senator from Vermont, about what the Democrats were doing here because they didn't get anything on health care. Remember, this is why Democrats were not voting to fund the government. They wanted an agreement on health care. Greg Kazar, who is a Democrat from Texas, and he chairs the Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives, he called this a betrayal. So we're probably going to have this test vote sometime in the next couple of hours, and then the question is just how fast they can get it through the Senate. Does that come later tonight? Does it come in the overnight? Is this more of a Monday or Tuesday project? Tommy?
I think,
what happened tonight is specifically part and parcel of what I was talking about mistakes. And a lot of people, well, actually, not a lot, but the vocal people came at me, the usual suspects. How can you turn your back on Trump? What are you saying? He's not done anything wrong. He walks on water just like the Messiah did. All the usual chatter of people who aren't using their own minds. And then this, I spent a great afternoon down watching the Miami Dolphins kick the crap out of the Buffalo Bills, surprisingly. It was awesome. Had fun with the wife. And I come back to find out that there's going to be some kind of a deal. Now, this deal, as most deals are, has a compromise to it. And I'm pretty sure many of you are going to have a problem with this so-called compromise. Now, it's not done. Even if they vote tonight, it's not done. Let me just let you guys know the lay of the land here. Because it's not the CR that was already passed by the House and the Senate, that there have been some adjustments to it, it now has to go back to the House to get approval there. More than likely, the Republicans, they have the votes to do it. You don't need 60% there. So they're probably going to have the votes to do it. Hakeem Jeffries and some of the other ones are going to scream bloody murder. They don't want it, which is always a sign of a good compromise. You didn't get everything you want, and you didn't get everything you wanted. The problem I'm having right now is we could have got everything we wanted. We absolutely could have gotten everything we wanted. So the synopsis at this point is no money is going into the Obamacare. They're going to revote that in December and see what they come up with. The problem I'm having are two parts of this. One, they supposedly, we shall see the final thing once the House is complete, they have to rehire all the federal employees that they previously laid off. So all they get to come back, and they get their back pay. But the thing that bothers me probably the most about this is SNAP benefits will be paid and locked in for all of 2025. It won't even come up for discussion again until 2026. That is a problem. That is a huge problem. I think it's going to be a problem for you guys. It's a problem for me. I can't stomach that. I can't stomach going to the store and seeing the welfare queens getting everything they want, knowing we're paying for it. It's absolutely disgusting. And on top of that, I guess they're going to give them full benefits as well. Wow. What the hell happened? Why would you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? Why? I'll tell you why. Because Republicans are weak-limbed. They could have gone with the filibuster. They could have forced it to a vote and taken over and controlled this thing, and you allowed them to have a breath of life. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But a compromise it is. That's what we're going to get. And they're going to get their welfare queen SNAP benefits fully paid for an entire year. It can't even come up for discussion, supposedly. And who knows what's going to happen when they actually vote on Obamacare in December. And by the way, all of this is just until January. And they're going to have to do it all over again. So buckle up. Who knows what the hell is going to happen? Who knows how it's going to end up? Whatever you see online right now are people talking about here's what's agreed to. This is just the framework. It will probably change maybe a little bit, maybe a lot over the next 24 hours. So we'll stay tuned. Tomorrow's show, we'll know more and we'll see where we're at. That's where we are right now. Now, before I get into this portion of the show, I want to make sure, how can I say this? I want to make sure you're prepared. You see, a lot of people got pissed off at me, and some people told me, don't even talk about real estate tonight. Don't even bring it up. I'm tired of hearing you talk about real estate. Well, I guess you don't understand the economy. I guess you don't know how important it is to the overall strength of our economy. It is vital. And what we're seeing, I guess, a trial balloon went out there. A trial balloon about this 50-year mortgage thing that everybody missed. I don't mean a few. I don't mean a couple. I mean everybody missed, including most of the people who were on my comments and probably most of the people in the chat. They completely missed the point. Why this thing was so bad and unbelievably dangerous for our country. Many of you saw I posted clips from The Big Short. I posted clips from Margin Call. And the problem is, even in those clips, the conversation was so high level, most people have no clue what the hell is being talked about. So I'm going to try and break it down. If I sound like I'm talking too much on a kindergarten level, I want to make sure you understand everything. Now, I can't show The Big Short or Margin Call here. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow night. I'm not sure. But if you haven't seen it, it would be good homework for you to go look at before this thing comes up again. Because it's going to come up again. They're trying different things because, well, I'm going to tell you why they're trying some different things. And that alone is probably going to make you all kinds of pissed off. Before I begin, since we're talking about real estate.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. And borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity? And cyber criminals, the smart ones that they are targeting that equity with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. House alarms, doorbell cameras, and deadbolts won't work against these thieves because they're not after your stuff. They're after your equity. I've been a real estate investor for nearly 30 years, and Robin has been an agent for over 22 years here in Florida. I've seen firsthand how scammers can steal your home. It's actually surprisingly easy. If your title isn't being monitored, scammers can transfer the title of your home into their name using a one-page document that they file at the local courthouse. If the document is filed correctly, the county and the courthouse will accept it. They don't even check. Then the scammers can take out loans against your property or even sell it behind your back. The scariest part? It's unlikely that the county office will even notify you. You won't find out anything until a collection notice or even a foreclosure notice starts arriving in your mailbox. But by then, the damage has been done and you're left with a financial and legal nightmare. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from our friends at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection is 24/7 monitoring and alerts of any changes to your title, and God forbid, if the worst happens, restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. So when was the last time you checked on your title? If you're like most people, the answer is never, and that's exactly what scammers are counting on. But you can check on your home's title today and make sure you're not already a victim. You can get a free title history report and a 30-day free trial of triple lock protection today by going to HomeTitleLock.com and using the promo code BARRY or click in the link in the description. If you want peace of mind, go to HomeTitleLock.com and use the promo.
All right, so I just want to tell you, yes, they are a partner of this show. And the reason why I've partnered with Home Title Lock is so you can protect your equity and find out today if you're already a victim. It's pretty important, especially with all the stuff that they're talking about. You can find out if you're already a victim. Just use my promo code BARRY at HomeTitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title records. You'll get urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud occurs, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Why is that? Because curing title defects isn't cheap, and it takes a long time. So protect yourself. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. All right, so before I begin, if you don't want to hear this stuff, now would be a good time to log off. All right, so let me start by saying this. Earlier today, yesterday, when I posted this as the thumbnail, I said, did President Trump make a huge mistake? And I caught a lot of crap for it, a whole lot of crap. And what I'm going to ask you, I want you to be honest. On Friday and Thursday, what were we all talking about? What was the number one story everybody was talking about all over the place, 24/7, especially on the right? The number one story that we were talking about was getting the filibuster destroyed. Everybody was saying, here's what we need to do. We need to get in there. We need to break the filibuster. And it was gaining momentum. And the last thing you want to do is rescue your opponent. Well, on Saturday, or whenever that stuff got posted, guess what? The little ring that they throw off the boat went into the water for the Democrats. It took the filibuster talk completely off the front page. That, no matter how you strike it, is a huge mistake. You don't try to help your opponent. Who knows if it led to part of this compromise today? We went from honed in, pushing hard on breaking the filibuster, to talking about a 50-year mortgage. Like that. Everybody on both sides immediately stopped talking about the filibuster and focused on this 50-year mortgage debacle. So I had some people who questioned my motivation, who questioned why if I was turning on Trump. And I'm like, you do realize I have an entire channel dedicated to President Trump. How stupid would you be to think that I'm, quote, turning my back on President Trump because I question this information that was put out? This information that was put out, I'm convinced, didn't come from President Trump. I know, just watching his history, he knows better. Somebody said, hey, let's try and put this out. I think it was Bill Pulte. I think Bill Pulte wanted a trial balloon and said, let's figure out how we can help bring in that young vote that everybody said is disintegrating and leaving because the affordability. My thing is, we have to stop right now trying to court the Mondami crowd. We have to completely do what he believes and what we all feel is correct, and don't worry about the Mondami crowd. We are not going to compete with socialism, nor should we. We're not going to compete with communism, nor should we. Everything we should be doing is showing people how they can take advantage of capitalism. See, the problem with these kids is that they haven't been taught capitalism. Think about it for a second. We've seen the decay in the education system. We've seen how it's broken down, and all the way through college, everything is totally against you. You can't do it. You can't do it. I know for a fact because you're looking at somebody, and then this weekend, my buttons were bursting. My 13-year-old granddaughter, Ashley, told me this weekend, and I almost cried. She goes, you know, your granddaughter started a business. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, she's always thinking of different things she wants to do. She wanted to be a makeup artist. She wanted to do and open a nail salon. And then she came up with something, and she actually is doing it. I'm like, what's she doing? She created a dog sitting business at 13. And I thought to myself, one, let's get some applause up for that. Number two, how can we help her? And number three, good for her that she's not listening to the BS being talked about in the stratosphere of kids. I don't know if her friends are even talking, no, because her friends are involved with it. So if my granddaughter at 13 years old understands being an entrepreneur and what it can do for you, if at 13 years old she sees and goes, I want to start a nail salon. No, I want to start makeup artist. Nope, I want to start a dog sitting business. Is there a demand for it? Absolutely. Does it pay? Absolutely. I know because we got these two dogs, one of them sitting right here, and when we go and do something, we have to have a dog sitter. So tell me how a 13-year-old young girl can come up with the idea that she wants to be a dog sitter and then do what's necessary to go out there and get business, clients. Yet kids who have gone to college say there's no opportunity. It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And she didn't ask me for any capital. That request hasn't come yet. And if it comes, obviously we will do that if she needs shampoo and leashes and whatever. But right now, she's doing it with no capital. So if she's doing it with really no capital, how in the hell are kids saying today, oh my God, we can't do anything? How are people who were in this chat or on X who follow me saying, well, you don't understand, boomers have ruined it for everybody? Stop using effing crutches. Your crutches are embarrassing. Your crutches tell more about your inability than anything else. If you're not looking at things in a perspective of how can I seize an opportunity, you are going to completely miss the opportunities. At the football game today, of course, you know, there's all kinds of entrepreneurs that spring up, people who are renting out parking spaces in their driveways and all kinds of things like that. Here's some bottle of water I'll sell because people are walking and they're in the hot sun down here on their way to the stadium. Selling little flags, banners, anything. So how can it possibly be that the youth of today think that the door got slammed on them by boomers? Instead of looking at boomers as an asset. You see, every single person who replied negatively in my post, every single one, not one of them said, Barry, can you show me what you're talking about? Every time I posted a movie clip from The Big Short, nobody said, what exactly are you referring to? 50-year mortgage would be fantastic. I even had people say, I've been in my house for 40 years. Well, you know what the average length of time people stay in a house? 11 years. That's it, 11 years. And I even told one guy today, the term is irrelevant. I don't care if you got a 90-year mortgage. You're not a slave to a mortgage. You can sell the property. When I buy investment property, I get 1-year mortgages. Barry, how can you get a 1-year mortgage? How can you afford it? Here's something for you. I get a 1-year mortgage, interest only, or I get a 1-year mortgage with a 30-year amortization. What? Yes. A mortgage is a negotiable document. You can actually try and pitch your terms. Interest only. How many people have an interest only loan? See, I plan on turning property quickly. And so I know if I get an interest only loan, somebody says I'll give you a loan at 10 or 11% because it's an investment property. I'm like, that's a great deal. I don't got to pay any principal. I don't have to pay anything at all other than the interest because I'm going to turn that property. So I've done so many mortgages, including personal mortgages. I feel that I work with so many mortgage brokers. The term of the mortgage isn't the issue of affordability. You can make a mortgage 900 years. I don't give a crap. And I'm going to go through that today and show you. The problem is we're catering to the Mondami crowd. And that Mondami mindset permeates beyond just kids. I can't tell you how many people were in my mentions and replies telling me it's a great thing. And I'm like, why is it a great thing? Well, blah, blah, blah. And they're missing the complete problem. And when I show you what the problem is, hopefully light bulbs go in your head and go, oh, yeah, that's a big problem. A real effing big problem. Number two, what if the solution to affordability has been in place for 100 years? Actually, 94 years to be exact. We're going to cover that. Did you know that you can easily get an affordable home, affordable mortgage? So let's jump into something right now I want to show you, and exactly talking about this Mondami stuff.
Why is socialism spreading? And I want to point, there's a lot of reasons, but I want to point specifically to this one. It's the increasing cost of living. These numbers are for New York City specifically. So if you lived in New York.
And by the way, this is the Heritage Foundation. So this isn't a lefty organization.
January 2020, and you compare that to January 2025, your rent would be up 17% on average. Your food costs would be up 25%. Your cars would be up 30%. And that home price, this one's very important to me, because though nominally the sticker price of a new home might be up 68% price per square foot, if you include financing, right, and you include the increased interest rates, the way that people actually purchase those goods and services through financing, it's actually up 144% in New York. Same house, 5 years later, same percent down. And so these are serious issues, and I am confident that everyone has felt these sorts of issues before. And because these are so universal, it's important to note that the establishment among the left are recognizing this. Hakeem Jeffries said this, specifically that Zohran Mamdani is relentlessly focused on addressing the affordability crisis.
See, that's where Republicans are missing. President Trump and Bill Pulte did have to come out and talk about a 50-year mortgage because most people don't know what mortgages are anyway. It's the cost of living and it's the ability to buy a house, which are both information-based. It's not mortgage-based. It's information-based. A lot of people either don't want to or don't understand how that's the problem. It is. I looked at probably 300 posts this weekend. And as I was looking at these posts and going through, I'm like, is nobody going to mention this problem? Because nothing about a 50-year mortgage, nothing about a 30-year mortgage, nothing about a 75-year-old mortgage is going to fix the actual problem.
Explicitly committed to being a mayor for all New Yorkers. It is in that spirit I support him. In the spirit of what? Addressing the affordability crisis. And in addressing the affordability crisis, he's talking specifically about the economic platform of Mamdani.
So if you address the economic platform, that will help you address affordability. Because affordability doesn't exist to be modified with a mortgage. I'm going to prove that to you. This is James Fishback, who we've had on the show.
We are Americans. We are not slaves. We are not slaves to the plantation owner. We are not slaves to China. And we are not slaves to Wall Street. This 50-year mortgage idea is a spit in the face. It is an insult. We did not vote for this. We did not vote to become debt slaves to private equity firms and the big banks and Wall Street. Right now, the median home in America costs $500,000. At the prevailing mortgage rate of 6%, you would have $580,000 of interest payments over 30 years. If we went with this ridiculous, inane idea of a 50-year mortgage, that would be $1.1 million of mortgage payments for a $500,000 home. So
See, the problem is, even James, he's amazing with finance. They're assuming you're staying in there the length of the mortgage. Most people aren't going to stay there 50 years. Most people aren't going to stay there 12 years. So it doesn't matter if the mortgage is 70 because the person isn't going to be there past 12 years. So it's not the term that's the problem. That's the first thing everybody has to digest. It's not the term. The term is only going to save you a couple $100 a month. That's it. I think most people, if they stopped going to Starbucks, could save a couple extra $100 a month.
You would end up paying $1.5 million for a $500,000 home. My grandfather, who was a World War II vet, he passed in 2018. He always told me that we don't want to pass down this national debt to the next generation, to our kids and our grandkids, to become slaves to China. I'm not worried about China anymore. I'm worried about becoming slaves to Wall Street. And the know-nothing Republicans and the do-nothing Democrats seem to be working together once again to push this usury on Americans. It is an absolute insult. If we want to get serious about housing affordability, the crisis that is staring down my generation, when my dad was growing up in the 1960s, half of 30-year-olds, half of them were married and owned their home.
You see, when you look at what income you have to own a home, because you got to have income, right? Right. Most people back in the boomer age had two incomes. And that's unfortunate because the wife couldn't stay home. But if you had two incomes, then it's a whole lot different. When you're talking about the alternative community like the gays, the reason why they have such strong home ownership is even though they're gay, there are always two people putting into the pot. They figured it out. You won't hear many gay people going, what do you mean longer mortgages? We're good. Why are we good? Because we got the income. By trashing the familial unit and having women say you don't need men, and all these things that they've done, they have actually worked to hurt the housing market. Most people, especially young people, can't do it alone. And now they're complaining, I can't afford it. No shit. You're not going to afford it. It requires effort, work, and knowledge. And that knowledge that you need is to be found by somebody talking to you, and that effort can only be yourself. Nobody can make it work for you. You have to do it yourself. Now, you can do it yourself if you know who you're talking to.
Today, only 15% of 30-year-olds are married and own their home. If you can't own your home, you can't get married. If you can't get married, you can't have kids. If you can't have kids, then honestly, what is the point? This is an insult.
See, that's another question. If you're not married, you're not looking to get married, you're not looking to, shack up together, what the hell do you need a home for? You know the word home comes from homestead. Back in the day when our grandfathers were out there, they had a homestead. The wife was home taking care of the kids. Dad was out there in the farm doing what he needed to do, and there was a homestead. If you don't care about the opposite sex and you have no plans on getting married anytime soon, if you have no plans on getting children, affordability is the least of your problems. and you're probably not going to afford it. From what I understand, you need like $97,000 a year minimum to afford a mortgage today. Not a lot of money when you think two people in the household, each making 50. Wow, we can get a mortgage. One person making 97. At what age group are they making that money? How are we going to cater to people who have one income and it ain't that great? Think about that.
A genocide against the Gen Z generation to try to foist this sort of slavery and usury on us. We reject it 100%. If we want to get serious about housing affordability, why don't we ban Blackstone? Why don't we ban Blackstone, which is one of the largest donors to the Democrat and Republican Party? Why don't we ban Blackstone from buying up entire neighborhoods, and then forcing us to rent from them? If we're serious about housing, why don't we take the 55 million people here on immigration visas and remove them from our country immediately, because they are living in homes that could be going to Americans who have been here, who have worked hard, who have fought and bled for this country. I am sick and tired of the do-nothing Republicans and the know-nothing Democrats being in bed with Wall Street and forcing us to become slaves, debt slaves, forcing us to accept this unmitigated, unencumbered usury. We did not vote for this. The 50-year mortgage. If this is allowed to continue, the Republicans will lose the midterms, and they'll deserve it big time.
So I was asking Robin, I'm like, hey, honey, you worried about Blackstone? Who? Exactly. Why is this boogeyman being put out there? Most of you are not in the market to compete with Blackstone or Breakstone or whatever they are. I am. I know what they're doing. I know how they're doing it. I know how to beat them. You see, when you're looking at housing as a commodity, as I do and how they do, it has to have certain numbers. You're not going to stop. I mean, you could try and pass a law and say corporations can't buy property, but then you would destroy most of the market, because that would mean investors can't buy property. And then what are you going to have? A bunch of decaying crap that nobody wants or nobody's going to buy. People forget that. They've made this boogeyman out of the corporate buyer, which it's not. Most of you will never go up against Blackstone. You're listening to Monsters, Inc. when people tell you that Blackstone and these corporations are so bad, they're evil, they're buying all the properties. Well, nobody's telling the seller to sell to them. Nobody's telling a seller to. In fact, this past weekend, Beth is in. I don't know if she's in the chat today, but we went down. We had our meeting with our contractors at the property, and we're meeting with everybody. We're going to do this. We're going to do it. The next door neighbor comes over. True story. The next door neighbor comes over and says, "So you guys are the ones who bought it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she got pissed. And she got pissed at me. Not me. She got pissed at the situation. Nice lady. She got pissed at the situation because she goes, "I offered the homeowner more than you paid for it. So I Blackstoned people in that neighborhood." Explain that. Explain why the guy who was selling the property chose me over his next door neighbor. His next door neighbor had conversation with him over and over and over. And she's like, "I'll buy it." And he sold it to me for less than what she offered. Anybody want to guess why? Because I offered cash. That's what Blackstone, that's what people like me can do that most people can't do. It's not the person selling the house. It's not the person buying the house. It's the terms of the deal. Cash is king. You walk in and if somebody's like, "Yeah, I got to put this down and I'll get some financing and we'll close in 30 days. Or I walk in and go, "I give you cash and we'll close in like 5 days. 5 days you'll have all your cash." Which one would you pick? And so when you're looking at things, again, it's knowledge, not the mortgage, not the price of the home. The guy could have gotten a better offer. He chose not to. He chose convenience. And when you're looking at this stuff, this 50-year mortgage, one of the things, I just want to touch on this right quick. If you have to understand what amortization is. Let's look at the math. A $350,000 loan at 6% is $2,100 a month. A $350,000 loan at 6% for 50 years is $1,850 a month. It's $300 a month left. That is $250 a month payment difference for an extra 20 years. If you're willing to pay $1,850, you're willing to pay $2,100. But the narrative and the marketing will spur the market. See, there's something else that even that guy said that people aren't picking up on. So I'm going to spill the beans at you and tell you what the problem is that people aren't focusing on. You ready? I hope you're ready. Here it comes.
Okay, so this is talking about that whole like 50-year mortgage thing that everybody's like tripping out about. Okay, look. It's just leveraged investing. So what you're trying to do is
you know, Ashley and SV sometimes tell me not to look at the chats, but when something happens, I kind of turn my head. And I saw this. If you didn't act like you're the boss of reestablished, don't know what that means, and talk down to everyone, maybe it would be easier to listen. Okay, would you like me to sugarcoat things? Okay. All right, I'll sugarcoat things and see if it's easier for you to listen. Okay, so I'm going to play this video, and I want you to tell me where the problem is. You know, I'm talking very nice.
you're trying to get people into an asset, right? Home ownership, anything, instead of paying for rent, right? So if you pay rent for a house, right, none of that is a write-off, and you own nothing. But if you get into, let's just say, a $300,000 home, right? So you put 20% down on a $300,000 home, that would be like, what, 60 grand to put down.
And there's your problem. He just matter-of-factly jumped over the entire problem that nobody talked about, and he acted like it was no big deal. Yeah, so you buy a house for, 300 and you put 60 down. Hey, stop. That's your problem. You don't have, and I don't mean you, these kids don't have the down payment. It's not the length of the loan, as I tried to tell people earlier. It doesn't matter if it's 20, 30, 70 years. If they don't have the down payment, they're screwed. They're done. They're not qualifying. They're not buyers. They're completely shut out. Game over. But I got a 100-year mortgage. You got 20% to put down? No. Call me when you get your 20%. That's the problem. It's not the length of the mortgage. Throw that out the window. Doesn't matter. It's these kids, this affordability thing is based upon the methodology of how housing transactions work. Housing transactions, and like he said, matter-of-factly, you buy the house, you put 20% down. They say, stop. Stop right there. That's when everybody looks and goes, what? Yeah, you're done. You're absolutely done. Patricia K says, of course you can offer cash, not us the Gen Zs. And again, this is where I'd like to get you, I'll say it nicely, is to change your focus. Instead of saying you can offer cash but not us, maybe you should say, how do I buy a house without putting any cash down? There's your question. Everybody's talking about the 50-year mortgage and 30-year mortgage, and this guy's like, you buy, you put 60 grand down, and then blah, blah, blah. And nobody's saying, how can I do it, Barry? Nobody says, how do I buy a house with no real cash down? When I said I bought that house from the guy, I didn't say I paid cash. Nobody in I didn't pay cash. I brought in somebody who had the cash and let him put it down, and I just get to pay him. So understanding it's just a complete twist in ideology. I can't pay cash, instead of saying, well, show me how I don't have to pay any cash. Big difference of ideology. If I was talking to a 20-something right now, I will show him this is what you do, and you don't need a whole lot of money, if any. I mean, most even hard money lenders want you to have some skin in the game, but you don't got to come up with $60,000. And by the way, as you see on the bottom of my crayon there, as it says, there's already an answer to this program, mortgage program, that's been around for almost 100 years. And that's where I was shocked to going, why are people talking about this? Why are people even considering a 50-year mortgage conventionally, when there's a program right now that's been around for 100 years, already run by the government? Bill Pulte is responsible for it, and he didn't talk about it.
This house in 5 years is now worth $500,000.
See, that's another problem. People are picking numbers out of their butt. He just said you bought the house for $300,000 or $350,000, and in 5 years it's worth $500,000. Where? It may happen here in South Florida. Are you going to see a equity build up that fast where you live, in your neighborhood? Maybe not. So how can you be advising people on buying this house, and then guess what? 5 years, magically, it's going to be worth $500,000, and when it's $5,000, then you're going to be able to refinance. Well, what makes you think it's going to be worth $500,000? Again, bad information.
And in those 5 years, you pay maybe $100,000 in payments, interest payments, or whatever else. And
you see what I'm saying? How people just are making stuff up on X, and people are following them and listening to them. And I'm like, dude, what? So you made $100,000 in interest payments, and you're expecting that the value of that point would be up to $500 or something.
you have an equity of $200,000. You put $60,000 down, and then you spend about $100,000 in interest payments or whatever else. You just literally made $40,000 in 5 years.
That's not misinformation. That's malpractice. You're telling somebody, number one, that their starter home would be $350,000. That's the first problem. We need to lower people's expectations based upon their income. Hey, I'd like to buy a house. Great. Is it just you? You have a wife? No, just me. What do you make? Well, I make like 60 grand. And guess what you're going to be able to afford? We're going to look at about 130, 140,000 for you. That's where the disconnect is, because there is no affordability issue. There's a glutton issue. People want to live there. Well, you can't afford there. And in this era of everybody gets a participation trophy, people don't understand you need to begin here. You're not good enough to get that yet. And people won't tell them that. Hey, we got to try affordability. We got to take money from other people. How about we concentrate on telling those who want what they need to do to get something, instead of trying to complain about it's so affordable and the boomer shut the door. Boomer didn't shut the door. The same process is available for you today, anywhere in the country, except maybe LA. That's crazy talk out there.
Owning a home that you were going to pay rent for anyways. It's not that you're locked in for 50 years. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why people are like up in arms about this. This is incentive for you to own a home, for younger generations to be able to get into an asset. And that is going to help our country, because people that buy homes, they take pride in their home. You know what I mean? It's something of value. It's
again talking out his rear end. Someone they take pride in their home. When you say take pride in their home, what do you mean? Oh, they mow the lawn, they paint it, they do the renovations. Where's that money coming from, Charlie? You're yada 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 through everything about home ownership when these kids can't even figure out where to get the down payment. And you're like, the home ownership. Home ownership isn't like a genie sitting on the curb making it happen. There's work that goes into that. There's money that goes into that. If they don't have the money for the down payment, how in the hell are they going to have the money to keep up the property? Again, something else people aren't talking about.
It's like when you're renting, you're like, what? Who cares? It's not your home. It's not your asset. So why would you care about that home as opposed to like you actually purchasing a house?
Well, if you rented one of my properties and you came in and said, I don't care about your property, guess where you're headed? Out the door. See, you have to build the ability and mentality of understanding how to take care of a home. When I rent properties, one of the things I do is I tell them I need to visit you where you live now unannounced. I don't want you cleaning up and doing everything and making sure everything looks perfect when I show up. I want to show up where you live one day when you don't expect me. So I can go, I see how you live. And who the hell's that dude? And what's that stuff on the table? And who are all these kids? See, I want to see what a tenant, how they live. And then I also will reward a tenant. I will say, listen, if you take care of this, this, and this, I'll take this much off your rent. It's trying to teach them how you take care of a property. And this dude just goes, well, you don't have to even care. It's not yours. Yeah, don't worry about it.
That's yours. And everything you do in that house is for your benefit. Nobody else is reaping the benefit of that. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. I don't even know why I'm doing this video, but whatever.
Good ending. Nobody knows why you did that video. Nobody. Now here's one that's going to make you cringe. This is what's coming. This is why I was talking about The Big Short and margin call. Listen to this.
Starting November 15th of this year, Fannie Mae is removing their credit requirement, meaning that everybody with shit credit can now get a home.
All right, so that's my term is mirror foggers. If they're going to remove the credit score criteria to make it easier for people to get into homes that they really can't afford, we're looking at 2008 all over again. I don't care if it's a 50 or 60-year mortgage. If you're not capable, if you're not worthy, not a bad word, if you're not credit worthy to buy a home, why in the hell would we be putting you in a home? Now the Wall Street stuff comes in. This is where it starts to get really scary and people aren't thinking.
Doesn't matter what your score is anymore. You never pay your bills? No problem. You're late on everything? No problem. We'll give you a house. Does that sound like a good idea? Absolutely not. It's going to be a fucking disaster. If I was uneasy about the economy and where it was headed, now I'm ultra uneasy. It looks like they know that it's inevitable, and what they want to do now is just suck as much money out of it as they can before the whole thing collapses.
And in collapse, it will. Let this be your warning that if people don't put this thing into a correct perspective, it doesn't matter how long the term of the loan is. It's how are we going to put the right people into homes? Some people just aren't ready to be homeowners. You can desire it all you want, but you might not just be ready. And so when you're looking at the entire financial picture, do you really want people in homes again after what we saw in 2008? Do you really want mirror foggers in homes?
Because within the next 12 to 24 months, with all these Fannie Mae loans that are going to get granted to people with terrible credit who never pay their bills, is going to be insane. And what's going to happen is these people are going to get these homes and they're going to make payments for like 2 months or 3 months and then stop paying. And then you're going to have a massive wave of delinquencies, foreclosures. Those are going to impact the neighborhoods, bring prices down, cause all kinds of fucking issues. Look, it's not looking good, folks. It's not looking good. You got people celebrating this like it's a good thing. Oh, now everybody could get a home. Fannie Mae removed the credit score. This is an awful idea. Who the fuck came up with this? Like, yeah, let's give everybody a home who has a reputation of never paying anybody back. Ever. This sounds like it's going to end well.
Sorry about his language, but the emphasis he was using was dead on. And I'll put it this way. If somebody in the chat came to you and said, would you give me $1,000? And you don't know who they are, and you're like, listen, let me talk about, you understand you need something, let me run your credit. And you run their credit and like, I can't take the chance of giving you $1,000. Now, look at November 15th, which is 6 days away. Hey, I'd like to borrow $1,000, I'd like to run your credit. You can't. So I just gotta hope that you're gonna pay me back? You see what kind of nightmare that can be? And if you don't see what that nightmare is, look at the borrower pool. The pool of available borrowers. Let this educate you as to who those people are.
Some of these numbers are pretty staggering, showing Americans are carrying more debt than ever before. A new report from the New York Fed says total household debt reached a record $18.6 trillion from July through September. And here's how that all breaks down. The biggest chunk of debt, $13 trillion, comes from mortgages, which is not surprising given how expensive it is to buy a home. Auto loans and student loans are next at about $1.7 trillion. Then you got credit card debt at $1.2 trillion. All of those are record highs. And when you look at credit cards, part of what's going on is that more people are using cards instead of cash to make purchases. Overall, consumer spending is up. That's good for the economy. What's not so good is that people are paying higher prices and higher interest rates, and lower income households and younger Americans under the age of 39 are simply falling behind on their payments. The typical borrower...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did he just say younger borrowers under the age of 39 are already falling behind on their payments? The people under 39 basically are bad risks. If we have all this data today, if we know this going into these 50-year mortgages, that people under the age of 39 are bad risks, why in the hell would we give them mortgages that you're going to have to guarantee? Why? So it doesn't matter about the mortgage. We don't have quality borrowers. That's a hard word for me to say. If we don't have quality borrowers, what in the hell are we even talking about? Continue.
Or carries a balance of about $6,500 on their card. Today's average interest rate of 20%, if you only make minimum payments, you'll end up owing more than $10,000 in interest on that debt over 25 years. So you can see how quickly this snowballs, guys.
Absolutely. That is pretty shocking numbers there, Andrew.
Shocking numbers for those who don't know. So again, and I'm not berating you, I just get so passionate about this because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and people are out there saying, oh, it's a great idea. Oh, you won't believe this. And I'm like, okay, first of all, what's your borrower pool? Who are you going to choose from here? You're going to have to qualify in a certain group of people, and that's going to be very narrow. If you already know that people 39 and under are pretty much in that bad risk pool, what do you do? Well, I'm going to show you some stuff now that probably will cause some of you a little bit of dismay, because it's pretty crazy when you start looking at it. Let's look at California. I want you to. Somebody posted this, and I'm like, if you look closely at this scenario, you will see how idiotic this idea is. Average home price in California is $802,000. $802,000 mortgage at 6% is a 30-year mortgage is $4,800. 50 years $4,200. 1.7 just in interest, but nobody looked at the big problem. The big problem is an $800,000 house would be about $160,000 in cash that somebody would have to come up with. These kids don't have this money. Why are we even talking about $800,000 houses? Because we're giving them the wrong place to focus. Hey, here's your house. It's a dump. It's about $140,000, $150,000, and it might be in Tuskegee. Might be in Tuscaloosa. You're not going to be able to live in Los Angeles. You're going to have to pack your stuff and go head over to Boise. You can't live where you want to live based upon... And we didn't close the door. We weren't boomers who closed the door behind us. You remember the term called starter home? Why we don't talk about starter homes anymore? Why are we not infusing that into kids? Hey, listen, you're going to have to get a starter home. What's a starter home? That piece of shack right there, it's got running water and electricity, and the roof is good. You'll be okay, but it's a starter home. I always have to check because SB says I'm buffering. I don't know. I don't know. It's Rumble again. It's Rumble. But anyway, it was called a starter home. Hold on. Where's that? Yeah, he says seems okay. I don't know why it does that. But remember that term. Why are people not talking about starter homes anymore? Starter homes are what people need to be into. Not $800,000 in LA. Don't even talk about that. You want to help these kids get into affordable properties? Then we have to get their mindset to understand you are at the starter level. That's where we started. That's probably where you started. You got to start somewhere. Let me pause and take a few comments here before we continue. Okay. My home. Okay. Elon has starter homes. Yeah, exactly. He's got those little homes. My home is not a starter home, but I paid starter home price. There you go. Sandra said my first home was a starter home. Bingo. That's what I'm saying. And Newscomb would be more than happy to spread that hot mess all across the nation. He would. I lost my home. Where was it? I lost my home in 2008, 2009, and it hurt. I had a good paying job, but it didn't matter. So I know what paid for it and what it went for. Exactly. Let's see here. Starter homes are good. Also downsize after children are grown. Exactly. Young people, that's the problem. It's not affordability. Young people, where is that? Young people don't want a starter home. They want the best right away. They're going to have to get used to it, roll up your sleeves, and enjoy your starter home. That's our problem. We have an entire generation of kids who grew up getting trophies who think that they get the gusto. They get the prize coming right out the box. And nobody's telling them, no, you can't afford it. And so what I'm going to do next, and I'm not really sure how long this will be, but I put together a Q&A for you. A real Q&A that I want you guys to take a listen to, all right? And if you have any questions, you can ask me about this. I think this is pretty cool. Here we go. Listen.
Hey, Barry. Tell me how a 50-year mortgage makes a home more affordable. After all, a $300,000 house is still a $300,000 house.
Exactly. A mortgage, whether it's 30 or 50 years, doesn't make a home more affordable. It doesn't address, as everyone's using this word, affordability, because you haven't taken care of the front end. You can look at every payment and every style of creativeness to put a property together, but if you can't get in it, then it doesn't matter what the mortgage is. And now I understand they're talking about assumable mortgages. Again, now people going to have a different idea about that. Even if you assume a mortgage, you're going to have some skin. you're going to have to pay something down. So no, a mortgage, regardless of its length, doesn't offer affordability. And we're going to go in deeper with this.
Will a longer-term mortgage decrease a borrower's down payment?
No. You understand it. I don't care if you got a 30, 60, 90-year mortgage. It doesn't decrease the down payment. So like that guy was saying, hey, it was just a 20% down. It's 60 grand. And he just said it like it was no big deal. You still got that upfront nut that you got to crack. And nobody is talking about that. Forget the mortgage. Anybody can get a mortgage. If we're going to fog mirrors and give people mortgages, at least show them how they're going to have skin in the game. And again, there's a program that's been around for 100 years that already has the affordability. Why aren't we talking about that? Let you think about that. If there's already a program, why aren't we dealing with that? Good question.
Does a 50-year mortgage make interest rates lower?
No. Interest rates, just like a promissory note and a mortgage, are all independent. In fact, a 50-year loan, depending on what, will make your loan either higher or lower. Your credit. Oh, that's right. We're going to do away with credit. We're going to do away with having to have a FICO score so that everybody is the same. We all have the same places. Some of us are different spots on the race. You remember Kamala. So we're going to make it equal. Everybody gets the same thing. God help us. God help us if that were to be the case.
Will a longer-term mortgage decrease a borrower's closing costs?
Now we're talking. Why did nobody in any of the posts that you may have seen over the weekend even talk about closing costs? You know, it's that ghost thing where you think you're buying something for $100,000 and you get there and it's like, what's all this stuff? It's like the reverse FICA. Hey, what is all this? Well, it's the attorney's fee, it's a settlement fee, it's a survey, it's the closing agent fee, it's the gig up your butt fee, and that comes to 4 to 6% of your purchase price. So if you're buying a house for $200,000, that could be as much as another $8,000 to $10,000 that you have to pay. Oh, the lender's going to pay for that. Okay, you think so? All they're doing is packing it into the loan. Who's coming up with the closing costs? If you're having a hard time with the down payment, wait until you hear about closing costs. Affordability is not being addressed by anybody because they're not talking about the main problem. And if you haven't bought a house, you're probably like, what the hell is a closing cost? Like, look that up. A closing costs are just, like I said, 4 to 6% of the purchase price. Documentary stamps, other kind of taxes, legal fees, all kinds of stuff get padded in there. Not once in any post did I see anybody talk about the 4 to 6% in closing costs. It's like it's some magical number. It's in there. How do we address affordability if we're not talking about the things that have to be afforded? There's no mortgage genie out there. We're going to have to tell these kids, this is what you have to do to get ready. You are going to have some money in the bank. Period. Don't even go shopping unless you got cash in your pocket. Nothing you can do. And how much cash am I going to need? Well, depending on what you're looking at, it could be 20% or it could be less. But you're going to have some cash in your pocket. That's what we're not addressing. Everyone, the 50-year loan. How much money do these kids have liquid? If you were going to buy a house today, how much do you have liquid to put down and pay closing costs? But that's not it. No, we got more.
What would the availability of cheaper mortgages do to housing affordability?
All right. This is the big one, which I don't think anyone's been talking about this either. If mortgages become more readily available, how does that impact the housing market? Almost the opposite of what the affordability is intending. If there's more buyers with more mortgages, what do you think happens in the market? Price goes up. The price will go up. If there's 50 people looking at houses right now across the entire town, what happens if there's 90 looking for houses? They're going to outbid each other. That's why I said earlier, I ain't worried about BlackRock. What do you think will happen when now all of a sudden little Johnny, who's straight out of college, he's coming out there, I got my mortgage all lined up, and the prices are going to go up. The impact is going to be the opposite of what they're hoping to do. It will actually cause less affordability. There's this thing, I don't know, I learned when I was in high school called supply and demand. If there are 10 houses on the market, but there's only 3 buyers, the price is probably going to come down. If there's 10 houses on the market and there's 30 buyers, the price is going to go up and y'all going to have to outbid each other. It is exactly inverse to what they actually want to see happen. You give people free money, they are going to inflate house values very quickly. Very quickly. I've seen it. Seen it all the time.
Are people at all familiar with an amortization table?
I don't know. That's a question I want to put in the chat. Are you familiar with an amortization table? If you're not familiar with an amortization table and you're looking to buy a house, now might be a good time for you to begin looking online and playing with amortization tables. An amortization table shows you over the course of a loan, whether it's 10, 15, 30, or 60, how much of what you're paying is paying towards interest and how much is paying towards principal. Those are two different things, interest and principal. And then when you really want to get surprised, even on a 30-year mortgage, see how much principal you pay in 10 or 11 years. Now, what happens? Well, I'll save that for the next segment here. But go ahead. You can look up amortization table everywhere online. They're very easy, and most people don't have any idea what an amortization table is, and it shows you over the life of a loan, a prospective loan, what you're going to be paying at a certain interest rate with certain down payment over a period of time. And then be prepared to be shocked when you can actually see that you're almost upside down for a couple of years. Let's see here. Okay, I know what it is. Didn't know what it was called. It's an amortization table. Yep, that's what happened in Utah. We always paid extra against the principal. But how are you going to pay extra against the principal? That was another thing people said. Oh, it's not that bad. They can pay extra against the principal. If you can't afford the down payment, if you can't afford the closing costs, how are you going to pay more in principal? Nobody wants to talk about that. See, I'm telling you things that I sit back and look at and go, why are people not getting this? And no, I'm not looking down on people. I'm trying to let you know, especially if you're looking as a first-time home buyer, these are the things you need to know. Let's see. It feels good to get some grounding on this nonsense. Absolutely. I bought in 2007, moving up from a starter condo, DC area, in a $515,000 townhome by 2009. It was worth $368,000. Nobody's talking about that. You know, if you look at our economy, it ain't looking all that great. So if you buy a house today and you're hoping, like that one guy said, hey, in 3 or 4 years it's going to be worth X. Well, what if it ain't? How are you prepared? Let's see here. People who went through 2008 won't go that road again. Not at all. Not if you've been through it. Let's see. My daughter is out of Florida because she can't buy a house in Florida. She is going to Tennessee to see if she can save money there and buy a starter home there. There are places in Florida that are very affordable, if you want to say it that way. and she can buy. Jimmy's talking about amortization tables. He says it explains how much interest rate paid per month and changes as the principal is paid down. Absolutely. Barry, then from what you've explained, is anyone from the Trump administration for this? When I planned this show and people got pissed off at me, I was like, there's no way. And then today, Bill Pulte came out. Let me see if I can pull that up. Bill Pulte, I won't say he looked at my stuff, but somebody probably talked to him. Here, let me show you what Bill came out and said after the uproar. Where is it? Hold on. Yeah, here it is. Bill Pulte posted this. Breaking, Eric posted, President Trump and FHFA Director Bill Pulte announced relief is coming for 5-year, 10-year, and 15-year mortgages. So what happened to the 50 to improve affordability? We're also working on ways to give relief in the 5-year mortgage, the 10-year, blah, blah. Biden really made it impossible to start a family. So he came out with, okay, maybe we start talking about 5 or 10 or 15. I'm like, well, dude, what are you doing? And then he said, earlier he said this. Let me see if I can find it so I can show it to you. This one. Okay. This was the one that just made me go, you got to be kidding me. All right. We hear you. Not my post, his post. We hear you. Who is he talking to? Probably people like me and other people. We are laser focused on ensuring the American dream for young people, and that can only happen on the economic level of home buying. A 50-year mortgage, quote, is a potential weapon and a wide arsenal of solutions that we are developing right now. A potential weapon. And I wrote, as you see, potential equals it ain't happening. And thankfully, they realized it. So, per your comment is, I think they floated it out there. They got the response, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's one thing we're looking at. Well, you got a whole bunch of stuff we're looking at. But you guys have to know specifically what's going on so that we don't repeat history. Let's see. Ma says the Senate reached an agreement. Back to the House now. Yep, we'll see you tomorrow. Didn't we learn this in the 2008 crash? I would have thought so. But one of the things I was talking to people about today is, just like with Mondami getting elected, I think people forgot 9/11, and I think people forgot 2008. 17 years. We're at 2025 now, so 17 years have passed since the mortgage debacle in 2008. 17 years, which means a lot of the people who are screaming about affordability right now weren't around or very young when that happened. Imagine you were 13 or 14 or 15 when the bubble busted. And now it's 17 years later, you're 32, 33, 34, and you have no idea what happened in 2008. That's the problem I see happening.
What triggered the 2008 economic crash?
Anybody want to raise their hand and say what triggered the 2008 crash? Easy. Just like they're talking about now, what triggered the 2008 crash, just like I showed you in the clips from The Big Short and with Margin Call, was easy money. If you could fog a mirror, they were giving you a loan. That last clip I had posted was, guys, like, there was a stripper in a nightclub. She's like, I got 5 houses and a condo. And he's like, what? You have 5 houses? Yeah. And he's talking to the mortgage brokers. Yeah, income. We got these no income. Back then, we used to call them ninja loans. No income, no verification. And again, fog the mirror, you got a loan. And they were approving them like butter. Like 5 in a weekend you would get approved at. Maybe more depending how many you were putting in. And what they were doing was, if you didn't see the clip, they were taking the crap loans and combining them with the good loans. So the people who were buying the bulk, which calls a tranche, as they were buying the tranche of loans, they had stuffed it with crap. And so once the Jenga board broke, boom. An oversupply of too easy to get money from people who didn't deserve it and were not credit worthy. Now I'm going to show you something, and now we get a little bit serious.
If income doesn't change and it's made easier to get a loan, how can we not expect more defaults?
You will. If it's 2008 proved to us, if there's easy money, there will be more defaults. What's a default? Default can be a 30-day past due, 60-day past due, or 90 days past due. If you have easy money with people who all of a sudden decided they want to go out to the club instead of sitting back and making sure you can pay your mortgage. Now go back to that video I showed you at the beginning where it said people under 39 already aren't paying their bills. So if we already know they're not paying their bills, why in the hell are we going to give them mortgages? You seeing how all this ties together at this point? See, some of you are older, maybe my age, who lived through it in 2008, who probably watched The Big Short. That wasn't well, it was fiction. It was fiction, but it really happened. It's what really happened. And it was people were making money hand over fist because the government was forcing them to approve these loans. Everybody gets one. And so if Bill Pulte is talking about that right now, he should know better. His family is in home building. We can't do this. If we do this, it's going to collapse all over again. And I'm going to prove it to you. I will prove it to you that it will happen all over again. It's not an if. As you heard in that other piece on ABC News, people under 39 already are underwater. It's not an affordability issue. They can't buy. They don't have the money. They don't have the income. And because they don't have the income, I don't care if you give them a 99.5-year loan, they're not going to pay it back. They can't pay their credit cards right now. So if we all know this, why are we even dancing with this devil?
Can you explain what bad paper is? And what do banks do with it?
I kind of spoke to you about bad paper, which is also a slang term for a non-performing loan, non-performing assets. Banks have to have a certain amount of reserve on their books in the bank to cover bad debt. When I showed you that margin call thing earlier, that's what that was about. They have to have the reserve. If they don't have the reserve, they implode. One of the cuts I showed you was from the movie where they were talking about Merrill Lynch. Some of you guys might be too young to realize there is no more Merrill Lynch. There is no more Lehman Brothers. They're gone. Big established firms, dust. Because they didn't have reserves and a whole bunch of other things that they did with the deregulation. And so if they deregulate loans and they allow people to get mortgages that can't afford, and then they bury them and try to commingle them with the other debt obligations to say, we've only got this many non-performing loans and we got this many good loans, we'll put them all together until you can't collect. So it's not affordability. It's the packaging, it's the market. It's not going to affect prices. It'll do just the opposite. So the bad paper aspect of that question, that's where guys like I came in. Banks would actually call me and they'd say, I've got a loan on 123 Elm Street. And I would do my homework and okay, the house is worth X amount. And I would say, what do you want? Well, if you can get us out of this, we would take this. And the numbers the banks would say that when they would make that call would be pennies on the dollar, which causes the market to implode because now if the house is worth 200 and the bank has a mortgage on it for 180 plus fees and interest, and now the loan is worth, I don't know, 260, but it's non-performing because nobody's paying it. Those of you guys may know what short sales are. I used to teach how to do short sales. I used to go around the country and show people how to negotiate with banks to make them discount their, quote, bad paper. Hey, I understand you're in it for $260. The house is only worth $200. Tell you what, I'll offer you $90. Okay. They had to get rid of the bad paper. Why? Because if you know, they can't, what I said before about having the reserve, they had to get that crap off of their ledger. And in order to get that crap off their ledger, the banks were selling the bad paper. That's why I told people on X, I'm like, if this happens again, Barry's going to Monaco. We are going to be filthy. And everybody can see it coming except for, don't do this, man. I mean, I would hate to see it happen, but we'd love the result. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not being facetious. I'm like, I would really hate for the market to crash. But if it does, you don't even know what's going to happen. Like you saw in the movie, they were talking tens and millions of dollars of bad debt that they were buying for a song. That's what's going to happen in the market.
What happens when mortgage default rates increase?
What happens when mortgage rates, what is it? She say increase or decrease? She should have said increase. In order to tell you what happens when mortgages, the default rates increase, you have to know historically, like in 2008, how did the market collapse? The market collapsed because you can live with about a 3 to 4% default rate. Some things happen, some things don't. The drop dead number, where people like throw hand grenades into the street, is when you get to 8%, 8 or 9%. It's like, oh, Armageddon. So during the 2008 crisis, in that movie, they walk in, and when they walked in, they said to the guy, what's your credit default rate right now? What's your CDR? And they knew the drop dead was 8. And the guy goes, we're at 4, 4.5. And the guy in the movie goes, what? And so if you're at 4.5 and the drop dead is 8, you're in big trouble, especially if the trend line is looking like that for defaults. So do you know what the default rate is today? Has anyone talked about it on X at all? Let's talk about that.
Do you know what the mortgage default rate is now?
So, as an investor, I look at mortgage default rates all the time. It may be, there's a national rate, there's a local rate, you can look by community. But if 4% was in 2008, the blinking red light, and 8% is just call the fire department, then 4% is about where you start getting real nervous. Guess what the mortgage default rate is right now? 4%. 4% right now. We are already at 2008's level of initial mortgage defaults. It was 4% when it started, the craziness in 2008, and it's 4% today. So if you know right now it's at 4%, why in the hell would you put more gas on the fire? Why would you do that? Do you want it to go to 8%? Because that's where it's got to go. Oh, how do you know that, Barry? Let me show you how I know that. This stuff is not secret. Let me show you this. Which one is this? And this one. Did I bring? Okay. Wait a minute. Let me pull this other data out here. I had 2 data sets here, and I got them like mixed up. Wait 1 second. Okay. 1 second. Okay. All right, so let me just show you, because this is real important to see what's going on. Hopefully you can see this. I asked Grok. I said, Grok, do me a favor and tell me which age group and income levels defaults the most on mortgages. Based on available data from studies and reports, mortgage defaults, often measured by a serious delinquency, 90 plus days, tend to vary by demographics. Note that defaults here refers to serious delinquencies that frequently lead to foreclosure. As full default data is less commonly broken down, trends are derived from sources like academic studies, credit bureaus, and federal reports. Though comprehensive, up-to-date breakdowns by both age and income simultaneously are limited. Data is from 2016 to 2025, with some variation often over time due to economic conditions. All right. Younger borrowers, the ones they are trying to court, generally have the highest mortgage delinquency rates, likely due to factors like lower savings, higher credit burdens, student loans, job instability, and stretching to afford homes. Rates typically decrease with age until middle age, then may rise slightly for the oldest groups due to fixed incomes. 18 to 29-year-olds are the highest rates overall. For example, Q1 2025 overall debt delinquency, which includes mortgages as the largest component, that group already had 3.35. Historical mortgage-specific data shows it peaks in the 20s, 30 to 39, 2.97 in Q1 2025. A 2018 study found millennials, Gen Z, 18 to 37 had 6,000 times higher the odds of delinquency versus older generations, with a 69.6% of delinquent homeowners in this range. So you want to give a whole bunch of mortgages to people who are historically the worst group of borrowers. And you're already in that group. You're already at 3.35. Now you seeing why I was ringing the alarm? Because this is absolutely nuts. Then it went down further. Let me show you this one. That's this window. Lower income groups historically default more due to limited buffers against economic shocks, but recent data shows stress spreading to middle and higher incomes. Low income, below 50,000, often highest rates, as prior research shows low income borrowers with elevated defaults. Middle income, 50 to 99, notably high with 75 to 99, showing 1.732 times higher odds of delinquencies versus the 50,000 to 75 range of 42%. Now, I'm not going to get too far into the weeds here because some of you guys might be glazed over and go, wait, what the hell what are we doing? This is the stuff I knew. As I was watching all this stuff transpire online, I'm like, what in the hell are we talking about? This is absolutely nuts. Look at this one. Further down, trends. Overall, because I asked it, give me the trends. Overall, U.S. mortgage delinquency rate is 3.2 to what? 4%. We are at the raised blinking lights right now. Before any of these mortgages are given away for affordability, we're already at 4%. And we want to give it to the people who don't pay. Make that make sense, because that's what you're going to end up paying for. And then, of course, I don't want to get in trouble with anybody, but other factors influencing defaults include it's higher for Black and Hispanic borrowers, and regions higher in South, and credit scores subprime highest. If you have a specific, I can refine further. Nope, you pretty much told me all I need to know. So, young people with no money or very limited income are going to cause this entire economy to crash. Data don't lie. All of this is right there for people to see. You can go in and ask Grok yourself. It is insane for us to be talking about affordability without first talking about income. If we're not talking about income and how to get these kids to be better, be more marketable for people under the age of 39 to have incomes to support things, we're losing it. Doesn't matter who's president. If people can't afford things, even a nominal starter mortgage, and they have the history because they haven't even been paying their credit cards, and you want to give them mortgages? Let's continue.
One more question. When a home needs repairs, will the owner with the cheaper mortgage have to pay for them?
Yeah. See, they talk about renting right now. And when you're renting and the toilet breaks, hey, landlord, yeah, it's broken. You need to come fix it. Oh, okay. Hey, the air conditioner's not working. Got to come fix it. Oh, okay. When you own the home, you now are responsible for the repairs. You now have to come out of your own pocket. If you're already behind on your credit cards, you're already behind on your car loan, and then you're maybe close to being behind on your mortgage, and now you got to take that cash to fix the air conditioning. It's your house. There's nobody to call. Hey, who's going to come fix this toilet? You. You're going to have to call the plumber in the middle of the night. Make them pay. They're going to make you pay double time because shit always happens at night or on weekends when your AC breaks. Oh, AC? I don't think you're going to be able to afford AC. Nobody's talking about this with these kids. You got to pay these repairs all yourself. There's nobody you're going to call. You can't call the management company. You can't call the landlord. It's your bill. Nobody's talking about, do you have the reserves to pay for these repairs? You want to give them mortgages. Okay.
What happens if they don't make the repairs?
See, when they don't make the repairs, this is where it gets scary. Being an investor, one of the things I always check, because it always allows me to either get a discount or actually buy a property outright. I always check the code violations. Any city you are in right now, it doesn't matter where you are, you can put an address online, it will tell you the code violations. Down here, you don't cut your grass, code violation. You don't have a fence around your pool, code violation. Your pool is green because you couldn't afford to pay the pool guy to clean it, code violation. Anybody want to know what happens with code violations? Your sprinkler, or if you're paying the sprinkler and it's got brown stuff on the house, they're going to come tell you, come paint the house. Don't paint it, code violation. What happens when you get code violations? Well, oftentimes they will give you a notice saying you need to fix this, and then what's going to happen is they're going to say, we're going to fine you $50, $75, $300 a day. I have walked into properties and gone back and had JJ check the code violations, and we would see liens. Things that have been running, the meter has been running at $200 a day for a year. And the city's like, pay us if you want to buy this property. And then you have to go through an entire process of code violation abatement, and you can't get the abatement until you fix the problem. I walked into the backyard of a house with a pool. I'm like, hey, okay, 3-2 with a pool. And I walked in the back and there's 2 rails sticking out of the dirt. And I'm like, what happened to the pool? Oh, we had to fill it in. They were fining us $100 a day, so we just filled it in with dirt. Well, the city didn't tell the city you're still running. I don't think they're going to accept that as a fix to the code violation. Who's paying for that? Well, probably not the person who can't afford it, because they would have fixed it. And so, again, and I don't mean to tell you horror stories, these are all the kinds of things that add to the problem that we're seeing with mortgages that given to anybody.
Last question. What age group and income level account for the highest rate of mortgage defaults?
I jumped ahead of myself with my exuberance, and I already told you that. It is people under the age of 39 making under $75,000 a year who are black and Hispanic. I'm not pointing fingers, it's data. So, if we want to help these young people become owners of property, there's a whole lot we need to show them. Just giving them a mortgage at 30 or 50 years means absolutely nothing. If they can't afford it, and we're already at that 3-4% default rate, you don't want to pour gas on the entirety of the situation right now. That would just make things worse and would ensure that we go into a spiral of epic proportions. Now, I don't want to, it's Sunday night, and I don't want to leave you here in a bad way. I said, and I had on the chyron there, the lower third, that there's already a program in place that has been in place for 100 years, and what the hell are people talking about? That program, which any of you can look up, especially if you're looking to buy a house and you don't have 10, 15, 20% down, is called an FHA loan. An FHA loan will allow you to buy a starter home, and sometimes very good in terms of income levels and price ranges, and all you need is 3.5% down. 3.5%. It already is affordable. So tell me why we were even discussing a 50-year loan when you can already get a very low down payment loan right now. You could apply 3.5%. Oh, by the way, that 3.5% doesn't even have to come out of your pocket. It can be gifted. Your parents can give it to you. Uncle Joe could give it to you. Aunt Frida can give it to you. Your boss could give it to you if you got a good boss. 3.5% on a home. And you guys can go look up the rates and everything else in terms of the loan limits depending on your area. I was showing Ashley where she lives, the loan limit for an FHA loan was something like $500,000. So if you found a house for $100,000 or $200,000 and you had to come up with a 3.5% down payment, that's like this. And your credit score, it doesn't have to be great. They'll give you a loan based on 580, 590. So why are we even talking about 50-year mortgages? This is how, it's already on the books. It's been there since the 30s. Since 1930, they've had the FHA loan system. It's a great loan for anybody trying to buy a house. And don't let it, the first-time home buyer moniker hurt you. If you haven't bought a house in the last couple of years, you are now considered, again, a first-time home buyer. Now, here's the craziest part about it. Guess who runs the FHA program? Bill Pulte, the same guy who was talking about 50-year mortgages. Why did you just come out and say, hey, I'd like to tell you more about our FHA program? I can't tell you. But you can go look up FHA mortgage right now. It will tell you what you can get in whatever, state or county you're in. And it'll tell you only need like 580 credit score. And it will tell you only need 3.5% down, and it can be gifted to you. And nobody, I looked at hundreds of posts. Nobody even talked about it. And so I'm telling you right now, don't worry about a free mortgage. Don't worry about that crap. Go get yourself an FHA loan and start. And if you're a veteran, it's even better. It's free. No down payment. And then I'm going to tell you, look at USDA loans. A USDA loan, you can get a USDA loan for no money down. You're going to have to live in a rural area, but you can find a house and you won't even have any money down. It's not the availability of programs, it's the availability and the mindset of people buying it. And that's absolutely true. What's to say? That's how I got my home, and the city gave me the down payment if you stayed in the home 5 years. Yeah. Go look up FHA, go look at VA. Obviously, a lot of people know about VA. And then look at USDA. And I want to tell you something else, too. For some of you enterprising people, I want to show you this. Because for some reason, people never look at this. Hold on. Let me see if I can put this up here. If you go to... here, let me pull this. How many of you guys have ever perused this? It's a really, really inexpensive way to buy a home. Often they require work and you have to do some things on them. Which window am I going to go to? Give me a second here. Hold on, got to find the right window. Where am I? Is that it? Where's my window? Anyway, I'll try this window because I don't... Oh, here it is. Okay. You go to HUDHomestore.gov. HUD Home Store. And you put in an address or state. Let me just put in, I don't know, let's put in Georgia. And if I put in Georgia, it's going to tell me every home on here is a foreclosure. So there's 30 houses here in Georgia. Look at these houses. Look at the size of this thing. 5 beds, 3 bath, 400. 3 2.5, 398. Nice houses. 345, 337. Where's page 2? 30 listed. But anyway, you can just okay. Listing period, and you can see how long they've been here. Like extended. When you see extended, that usually means they didn't get the bid that they're looking for. 377, 345, 337, and you can just look for stuff in here. And it's funny because you can look at, I don't know, let me look at here, Montana. They probably don't have too many in Montana. Oh, what happened there? Wait a second. Let me put Texas, since they looked at Texas. Texarkana. Here's a house that's it's been reduced, $240,000. It's a 3-2. Look at the size of this house. This is a $240,000 house. That's a foreclosure. Let's see what it looks like. What do you have to do? There's the outside. Can you guys see? There's the outside. Looks like it needs some landscaping. Big yard. And needs some flooring. That's a nice wood floor. It's kind of a little weird chandelier thing going. Oh, look, that's not bad. Let me look at the kitchen. Let's get to the kitchen. That's a bathroom. Another bathroom. Same bathroom. Get to the kitchen. Let's see what the kitchen... What? Come on. $240,000. $240,000 for this house in, where was it? Texarkana, Texas. Texarkana. They're all over the country. $240,000. So here you go ahead and get a FHA loan that help fix you up. They'll help you do that too. And so if you get that 3% down, you're looking at $7,200. So it's not an affordability issue. It's being able to understand what you need to do to get into a home. If you're wondering, hey Barry, look, like somebody said it needs a lot of work. Well, sweat equity, get a 203K loan. Do you know what a 203K loan is? Since we're talking about real estate here, 203K. Here we go. Here is some information on a 203K loan. You guys are going to see this and go, you got to be kidding me. Yep, I'm not making this stuff up. Right off the top of my head, here it is. This is a 203K loan. To qualify for an FHA 203, borrowers must meet standard FHA loan requirements along with specific rules regarding property and renovations. Minimum credit score of 580 and a 3.5% down payment. Same down payment. If your debt to income ratio, you got to have the income. The borrower must use the property as their primary residence. Investment properties are not eligible. Letitia James. This is the loan program that she used. Income and employment. Borrowers must have a stable and verifiable income and proof of employment. Mortgage insurance. Citizenship. Must be a U.S. citizen. Property age. The home must be at least 1 year old. Property type. Loan limits. Approved renovations. The loan covers a wide range of improvements from structural alterations to modernization, but cannot use for luxury items like swimming pool. Minimum, maximum cost, limited 203 for non-structural repairs, all kinds of stuff. You just have to know where to look. You have to know that these programs are available to you. If Letitia James did it and she lied on her application, I'm not advocating that. Oh yeah, it's my personal residence. No, it's not. You took out a 203K loan and you got the money that's supposed to be your primary residence for your friend or cousin, whatever it was. But I think we need to stop trying to placate the youth, and I think we need to educate the youth. I think we need to show them this is what you're going to need. You're going to need this much money to close. You're going to need this much money to put down. You're going to need to put a reserve for repairs. You're going to need to do the repairs if you want to get a foreclosure or some other house with a 203K loan. There are so many things that the average person doesn't know about. They don't broadcast this stuff. I don't understand why Bill Pulte would have put something out there about a 50-year mortgage instead of just promoting the stuff that's already there. If there's an FHA loan that gets you 3.5%, and then there's a 203K that gets you 3.5% and the money for repairs, why are we not talking about that? So when people tell me it's too expensive, we can't afford. Yes, you can. They're just not telling you the right programs. And your income. It always goes back to income. Let's see here. So if they require a job, then how does a retiree purchase a home? Well, if you're retired and you're making X amount of dollars from either a pension or your 401k or a dividend from a stock or any of that stuff, then it can be used as income. My mom, when she retired from the state of Connecticut, she was making enough on her pension that qualified her for a loan on her house. That's how you do it. Barry, please do a class on this stuff. I'm kind of doing it now. I'm telling you what the program is. And you can find someone in your zip code that'll help you get that kind of loan and give you the information. A FHA loan is available to any U.S. citizen. Again, can you fog a mirror basically? You got a credit score of 580 or so? Okay, you can get it. You have income to pay for, the debt to income ratio. I think they're using like 45%. Meaning if you make $5,000 a month, the most your mortgage could be is about $2,600. Well, if you're not looking to spend that much, don't spend that much. So yes, what Fisher said, you're in class right now. I never knew stealing homes could be so easy. I've got a new career. Yeah, it's people can do it. Maybe he wants another 2008 episode. I don't know anybody who wants to go through 2008 all over again. I was talking to Ashley earlier this afternoon or this morning before we went to the Dolphins game. And I said, I've sat in too many houses with too many people in tears. I've sat in houses where people say, I can't afford it. They won't work with me. Literally, here's the keys. What are you doing? We're leaving tomorrow. You can have it. Just give me their houses. True story. We just literally hand you the keys. And I call the bank. Hey, guess what? They signed a deed to me. I now own it. Let's talk. Let's look at a short sale. If you don't know what a short sale is, hopefully we don't get to that position in this economy where they become so prevalent again. But we will if we give everybody that can fog a mirror a mortgage. Let's see here. Well, you said something to me. I went to the restroom. Oh, I don't know. That wasn't me. I'm researching another manufactured home on my quarter acre. Yeah, there you go. Well, I don't know why people aren't talking about that. Double wides can be really nice right now. Did I miss the part about why about President Trump may have made a huge mistake? Yes, I did say that early. First off the bat, I said on Friday and Thursday, everybody was talking about ending the filibuster. And then on Saturday, everybody was talking about these 50-year loans. You don't let your opponent off the hook. And the opponent, as far as I could see, was against the ropes. We were pounding them about the filibuster. And then Saturday, everybody's talking about 50-year mortgages. 50-year mortgage is crazy. And it's not the term. It's like, why would we give them that? I have learned a lot. Thank you, Barry. And we bought, whoa, that's nice. She says she bought at 132. It's now worth about 240. History repeats if no one learns. I would say to encapsulate everything I just saw, and I wish I could show it to you right now. I would turn it on. Go watch The Big Short. It's going to be and if you've seen it, go ahead and let other people know. But that was what happened in 2008. The Big Short, in a very easy to follow format. They really take some poetic license, but it shows you what happened when the mortgage industry collapsed. And at the same time, it's going to show you how so many people made so much money. You know, I was talking to a few people yesterday after this whole 50-year mortgage thing came out. And I go, do we need to get ready again? And they're like, yeah, get ready. Get ready. You know, one of the reasons why when I went down this weekend and Beth was there and she got to meet some of the contractors is because you build your team if you're going to do some of this stuff. Because there's going to be, and I know a lot of people hate thinking about it, there's going to be so many people, if they do this. I mean, remember, we're already at 4%, 3.5%, 4%. We start seeing these kind of free mortgages go out, we're screwed. Forget the midterms. See, that's the other part of this. If President Trump and Bill Pulte are trying to cater to the Mondami crowd, we're in big trouble. Because the Mondami crowd doesn't even want the mortgages. They just want money. Give it to us. I'm going to take it from you. I don't think these people even want to buy houses. I think they don't have the responsibility now. They're already in default on credit cards and auto loans. And so if you don't have that financial training to understand you got a commitment on the first of the month, and if you don't pay that by, the first of the next month, you're basically chasing a ghost. It can get crazy. People forget about history way too fast. Absolutely. I said that today too. I posted and go, if people don't remember what happened in 2008, even though it was 17 years ago, we're in for a whole world of hurt. And so there were people telling me, don't talk about real estate, don't bring it up. And I felt that I had to because, part of the reason why I think President Trump made a mistake, not irrevocable, not irreparable. He can fix this. It's not something that is irreparably broken, but it's something we have to address and say, we can't do this. We can't go back down this road because the signs are all there. I was a loan officer back then. I hated seeing what everyone was doing to make money. It was sickening. It literally was Wild Wild West. It was literally the Wild Wild West. Let's see what else we had. No financial training. Yeah. student loans. Yeah, well, put it this way: if they're already complaining about, please forgive my student loan, then you're saying you can't even pay that. If you can't pay your student loan, we're supposed to look the other way and give you a 50-year mortgage? Good luck with that. And here's the other thing. If the Democrats somehow regain power because we didn't do the filibuster, they're probably not going to allow foreclosures. Imagine that. People moving into homes with mortgages and the courts being told you can't foreclose on them. Yeah, they want it all for free. So be ready. Absolutely be ready, guys. And Wells Fargo wanted, bingo. Wells Fargo wanted 126. We paid 46. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's how it was. The banks were like, what do we do? Just take this shit. Excuse my language. Just take it. We don't want it. We crushed it. Barry, could this destroy the Fed? Worse than the Fed. It can destroy the entire economy. Let me see if I can pull up some of this information I was researching earlier. 1 second here. Let me look at something if I have here. Yeah, hold on. Let me share this with you. Because I thought I might have to go over some of this stuff with you. Now, some of you may not be aware of what was called the subprime crisis. The subprime crisis would now be enveloped into a different type of thing where people are giving mortgages that they can't afford, but they may not be doing subprime. So I put the grok because I wanted to have this available. What triggered the 2008 mortgage crisis? The 2008 subprime mortgage crisis, which triggered the broader global financial crisis, was primarily driven by a combination of loose lending practices, a housing market bubble, financial innovation and securitization, the credit swaps, and regulatory shortcomings. They began in the U.S. housing sector and escalated into a worldwide credit crunch and recession. Triggers were subprime lending and risky mortgages. In the early 2000s, mortgage lenders extended credit to high-risk, it says it right there, high-risk borrowers. Those with poor credit histories, low income, or no down payments who previously couldn't qualify for loans. So why would we be doing it all over again? That is a prescription that we've already had in our recipe to destroy the economy. And it's funny, as you look at this information, if you weren't around in 2008, said this was fueled by innovative products like adjustable rate mortgages with low teaser rates, later reset, interest-only loans, no doc, often without proper verification of borrowers' ability to repay. Lenders approved these amid assumptions that rising home prices would allow refinancing or sales to cover default. See, that's what that guy was saying in the early part of the video. Yeah, and in 5 years you just refinance. Oh. What happens in 5 years if it doesn't appreciate? Oh, I didn't know that could happen. Okay, so you're assuming. It says low interest rates and easy credit. Following the dot-com bubble, central banks like the Fed Reserve cut interest rates to a historic low and injected liquidity into the economy to spur growth. This made borrowing cheap and encouraged investors to seek higher yields through riskier assets, including subprime mortgages, while depressing risk premiums and fueling a lending boom. So we're seeing it again. They're even talking about it. You're talking about making it affordable and giving people loans. Wait a second. We've already done this. We've watched this movie. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, sold 1,000 of them. We don't want to go here. And I'm not denigrating younger people. I'm not saying anything nasty about them. I'm saying if you have no credit history, if you have no work history, you are not a good risk for a loan. Has nothing to do with your color, well, kind of, anything else. You got to have all the pieces, otherwise we're right back to 2008. And it's crazy, absolutely crazy if we let that happen again. If we let that happen again, we're stupid. We're absolutely stupid. The banks went to destroy so they could have more control. Why would anyone get tangled up in an adjustable mortgage? Because it was cheap. Hey, you don't have to worry about having a $2,000 a month payment. We'll get you in right now at about $900. And then in 3 years, it's going to triple. Oh, in 3 years, I'll be making so much more money, and house is going to be worth a whole bunch more, and I'll just refinance. Until that adjustment happened. You guys remember Countrywide? No, this is not good. Not good. And this is scary. I have a problem with paying bills on time. I always tend to pay extra, and my credit score seems to like it. Yeah, there's a good one. Fixed mortgage. Yeah, I agree. Someone who's this Vic, this is not good. It was cheap until the rate adjusted upward. Exactly. So, young people, some young people can buy homes. Some young people should be shown how to buy homes. Other young people, you're just not ready. If you don't have a down payment, if you don't have a reliable income for 2 years, if you don't have decent credit, if you don't have money in the bank, no, you can't have a house. And to try to appease these people because the communist is saying we'll give you free everything is a recipe for disaster. An absolute recipe for this disaster. Let him burn New York. Do not chase these kids. If they want to go embrace socialism, don't do it. Because the rest of us will be absolutely screwed. And I didn't close my door behind me to any millennial or Gen Z. I've been trying to tell people this is how you build wealth. This is how you promulgate wealth for your family. You start here. It sucks. And you make sure you got a good exterminator and kill the roaches, and you make that place your home, and you show somebody I can make payments every single month, and in 12 months I'm going to go sell it and I'm going to go over here, or I'm going to keep it, I'm going to rent it out, and then I'll go do something else. I am so tired of, here, let me show you the kind of comments I was getting. We're not getting just specifically, but the kind of comments I was seeing from people. And it's just crazy, absolutely crazy what some people were saying. I mean, I don't understand why. Let me show you this. Where we get to it yet? Because I could not believe. Here we go. All right. So I said I looked at this. Wait a second. Let me look at this. All right. Am I in the right window? Okay. 1,000 words of whiny BS and the proof I just showed you. And Rich Barris is a good, well, he's a pollster. And he says, I see boomers are trying to make their counter argument. They're right to do so. Who could blame them for trying? But I also see some deluding themselves into thinking they are winning it. And that needs a reality check. You already lost it. In 10 years, there won't even be an argument, and the younger generations will make sure history remembers you as the generation who inherited it all and left nothing to be inherited, and who then went on to threaten to withhold that nothing if they didn't submit to your thinking. And he goes on and on and on and on and on. And not once in that post did he, not once in that post have others ever said, show me how to open that door. And that's what I want to leave you guys with is we need to get to a point where people are willing to do what they need to do to win and not just expect it. And then be mad at others who they think You can't win now. Like I said, my granddaughter, 13 years old, started a pet sitting business. I think the reason why she can do that is because nobody's telling her, like these people are, that you have no opportunity. You're done. The boomers killed it. I'm like, well, if you don't know any better, then you know there's still opportunity. And I think that's something we all need to teach people. Don't listen to the crap. I think that's where we really have to understand that these people have bamboozled, they've been lied to, they've been hoodwinked, and it's just a matter of them understanding that there is a tremendous amount of opportunity out there if you're willing to work for it. And people think that's an insult by saying someone has to work for something. It's not an insult. We all had to do it. I think that's another problem. They think that we had it easy. I didn't have it easy. My father used to put his boot up my butt and tell me, you got to get out there and do this and do that. I'm like, I don't want to do all that. Oh, well, you know what? You don't do it. Guess what? You ain't getting everything else. All right, so let me look at Super Chats and I'll let you guys go till tomorrow. Let's see here. Guys, we have to tell Barry Trump need to go with the podcasters, not CNN, CBS. That way he's unknowingly feeding them. By the way, there's some podcasters out there that were that were trying to say that this was a good way to help young people buy homes. And every day I would see certain people talk about it, and I went, they have no idea. They have no idea. I don't want to name names, but this isn't it. Shell, Barry, Republicans, don't be mad. It might be as simple as continued snap for a year so the ones entitled can get it, but this gives the time to find and kick off the newcomers. Cool. Patrick Sharp, you're doing the Lord's work, Barry. We'll win this Patriots fight. Thank you very much. Nikki, I find it ironic that people extend more grace to the woke right influencers spewing garbage, but Barry asks a question and suddenly everybody's butthurt. Yeah. It's funny you say that because, yeah, I've been watching certain influencers say stuff and I'm like, you ain't making no sense. You can't say this stuff. Tina, thank you. Cutting edge. That's why Hispanics, including me, all invest in buying a house together. And with a 30-year mortgage rate, we paid off in 6 to 10 years. Very cool. John, creative financing, someone else funds the deal. Boom. I think what I said, I've been saying, I will continue to say, there is, especially in this economy, there is no shortage of money. Listen to what I just said again. There is no shortage of available money. Maybe instead of doing anything else, you take some time over the next month. Well, wait till January because everybody kind of shuts down right now. But make a plan and say to yourself, you know what? I am going to raise $300,000 or $400,000, and then come up with a plan on how you're going to raise $300,000 or $400,000. Can you do that? Can you come up with a plan as to how you're going to raise that kind of money? And watch what happens if you put your mind to it. And you're like, where do I find people who are willing to put out $400,000, $200,000? They're right in your neighborhood. They're right there. You just got to have the right idea. You got to have the right deal. And the money is there. Trust me. I'm smiling right now because I'm telling you, if you make a plan, the money is there. Anybody want to know where you could find some money for doing a deal? Go to your local courthouse or go online and look for properties that were bought by investors and then search the loans. Search the mortgages. See who put the mortgage out there. Don't look for Wells Fargo. Don't look for Bank of America. Look for John Jones, Mary Smith. These people with lots of cash that want to bank on deals. They're everywhere. I'm just telling you. Do it. Nikki, the mortgage payment is the minimum due. You can pay extra towards principal and save on interest. You can save thousands just by paying a little extra. But these people who can't afford to even pay a down payment can't pay anything extra. Mariah, great information, Barry. Sadly, many do not know what you're sharing invaluable. I know. People get mad. Thank you, though. James Kip, Trump up against the deadline. Dems know it. A year minimum for his reforms to kick in, pick up steam, and show tangible effects so voters can feel at midterms. Tania, Barry, hubby, and I have been in our starter home for 15 years. By far not a mansion, but we can afford it, and we're not living beyond our means. Good for you. Good for you. Metalhead, 7 moderate Democrats crossed the line, voted yes, CR passing. Now it goes back to the House. Christine, using your land as a down payment, is that a bad thing? Very question from Toy. Toy, no. If your land has the value, and you want to build or put a double wide on that land, no, not at all. Make sure you're protected in terms of your interest rate and things of that nature. Christine, Barry, absolutely love this show. Learning so much. Question: I am about to own, bought and paid for about 20 acres of land in beautiful North Carolina. Looking to build from the ground up. Any suggestions? Talk to builders. Talk to builders and find out what they can offer you. They may do a partner deal with you. They may say, listen, you own the land, we'll build the house, and we'll split the profits. So there's many ways you can strike it. Make sure you got a lawyer so you're not taking advantage. But there's many ways to strike a deal. But the deal I would look for is I would talk to a builder and go in partnership with them. I own this dirt. You build, we split. Big deal. Ellen, fascinating show, Barry. I learned so much. Go watch the movie Big Short. You won't regret the hour and a half. Carl Hassanar, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6 paraphrase. Thank you, Barry, for teaching these free real estate nuggets. It's sad that our schools don't. The Dems prefer they do, man. They do. They want people stupid, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And I see the news, and they're talking about, socialism is great and popular, money and blah, blah, blah. And it just don't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's sad. Chapo, officer, teacher, firefighter, next door program on HUD will put you in a lottery, and you can get a HUD home at 50% off, live in 5 years. When I was in Baltimore, that program used to give out dollar homes. If you would agree to live in this townhouse, they would give you the house for $1. There are probably some places right now that will do the same. Move there, take care of it, and we'll give it to you for $1. Look those up. Look for dollar homes. So they may have become much more expensive now. Like Chapo said, might be 50%, but we'll see. G. Fisher, thank you, Panther team. Great information without the BS sugarcoating of the way things really work. Thank you. KRO, will you spend a few minutes on buying empty lots, more down, red flags, etc.? Buying empty lots, depending on where they are, could be good deals. I showed the video the other day of one of mine where we're driving around town looking at buying empty lots. Because I already knew they're plumbed, meaning there's sewer, there's natural gas, there's water, things of that nature. But if you're looking at buying a lot out in the middle of nowhere, there's a whole bunch of stuff you really need to be careful for. You better know where the utilities are. You better know the environmental. Make sure there wasn't a gas station or, God forbid, a dry cleaners on that land, because if you get stuck behind an environmental problem, Katie barred the door. That literally could be millions that you'd have to come up with. So the best thing when you're looking at a lot is make sure, A, it's zoning. What can you put on this lot? B, is there ingress and egress? Can you get in and get out, or are you going to have to build a road? Check the environmental status of it. So that would be a good start before looking at land. Chapo again says 3% down, 6% seller concession. So you may be wondering, what the hell is Chapo talking about? What is a seller concession? Well, you meet someone that wants to buy a house and they're saying you need 3% down, but you can't pay for the closing costs. You need some insurance. I forgot to even mention insurance the whole time we're talking. Got to have insurance. And so a seller can give you concessions, gift you 6% of your purchase if you know how to structure that. Barry, what do you think of buying tax liens? Fantastic if you know what you're doing and that you can sit on the money. It's not a get-rich-quick thing. You have to understand the redemption of the tax liens, the enforcement of the tax liens. Don't look at it as though you're going to buy something and take the house for that amount. But if you get a good coupon rate, let's say you go in and say, I'll buy this tax for $5,000, but I want a 20% coupon. Well, that's not bad if you get 20%. Your money's secure. It's not going anywhere, but it's not going to be redeemed tomorrow. Shauna K., what are your thoughts on REITs? REITs, me personally, I don't like REITs. I like control it myself. Some people look at it as a stock, and they can be very viable. REIT is a real estate investment trust, and basically it's a bunch of people, a company, a conglomerate that will be buying houses, buying apartment communities, and it's like buying stock, but you're buying it in a real estate investment trust. And if they're buying the right properties, if they have a good history of managing properties, it can be quite viable, long-term investment. Neo, thank you, Barry, for sharing this value info and details. All good, no time lost. We own our home. Appreciate it. Well, 100K in 10 years. Buyers are coming around. Yeah, they're starting to come out the woodwork. And Chapo, we need to start teaching people about opportunity because the schools don't. And if we don't step up, we will end up losing them to Mondani. You know, there's a couple questions that you guys asked right there that are complete lessons. Somebody asked about a REIT, real estate investment trust, and somebody asked about tax liens. So there are people here in the chat who are already looking at doing different things. And neither one of those, either the REIT or tax lien, requires a whole bunch of money to get started. You can buy a tax lien for as low as you want to. If the tax on a piece of property is delinquent and it's only $800-900, well, you tell the county, I'll take it at 12%, 14%, and if they accept it or at the bid, you get a 12% return on $1,000. But I love it that you guys brought up those things. Somebody said land. Somebody talked about a tax lien. Somebody talked about REIT. That's what we need to be talking about as people in America and understanding all the different things that work for you. Like I've told you before, my former boss, he invests heavily, but he likes mobile home parks and self-storage. He absolutely loves self-storage. It's very secure. You don't have to evict people. You just throw them out, and the income is very good. Most people will get a self-storage unit, and they will stay there for 6 months. That's easy money if you can find them. So, let's see. You will never find a better cost than right here. So much knowledge. Thank you very much. Every county should have a free property alert. Yep, they should have that as well, where you can get the taxes done. Where are we here? I live in Texas. Can't stand Cornyn. Have won him out for years. What a pain. Yeah, he can be. You can place a tiny home on some land. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much you guys can do that people aren't talking about. And we're looking at top level. And the thing is, a lot of the people on the media and stuff like that don't tell you what they do. Sean Hannity is a huge property investor. Brett Baer buys a lot of property. I think Sean owns like 100 houses. I mean, it's crazy what some of these guys do. All right, so we got. All right, guys. So my husband likes the idea of storage units. Yeah, you're gonna find as you start looking around, you're gonna find what your niche is. You're gonna find I like to do this, and I don't have much competition in my area, and it works out, and I make a decent return with whatever risk allocation you want to put on it. So do me a favor, leave in the comments if you want me to do a movie tomorrow night and want me to show The Big Short and we can watch it together. Just go ahead and while the after party's playing here, let me know if you want to see The Big Short tomorrow, and I'll make that happen. It's a very, very interesting movie. And then when you see the parallels from what I told you tonight and all this stuff with the Mondamis and 50-year mortgage crap, you crazy. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Let me know about The Big Short, and we see if they can make that happen. Hold on, before I go, I didn't see this super chat. For some reason it was buried, but it's from Starfleet, and Starfleet says, Barry, thanks for the real estate mortgage information. I enjoyed it. Will you have a video on how to start a business? Tell me what you're looking for. Are you looking for how to start an LLC and what you need to do? Send me an email at showmail@fanfareshop.org, and I would gladly show you how to start up an LLC and get your tax ID number and open a bank account. So I'm sorry I missed that earlier, but I got it. Sorry. Have a good evening. Thank you, Starfleet. But go ahead and send me that email as soon as you can.
News.